Yeah, man. You already know what the fuck it is, man. DJ Jerry, aka the voice of the streets. It's that motherfucking Mixtape Trappers Radio, man. I got him back in this, man. I got a gold in this, man. Tony Cotton, what's happening?
My second time here.
Second time.
I'm honored, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. You know you had to have you back, man. The first one, man, we went crazy with the first interview.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into. Turns out I'm glad I did it, though. It was a good experience.
Definitely. Man, you just came back from Paris, man.
Yeah, I was in France for 2 weeks, okay. 2.5 weeks, actually. Thank God. It was a much needed time away with my family and Jason, one of the lawyers who works for me, real talented guy. He got married over in Italy. Wow. So we had this 90-person wedding, crazy, awesome experience. So just really good to get away and try to get my mind off things and, decompress a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, but what was that like? I've never been there, bro. I've been out the country once. That was to the Bahamas. That's it.
Yeah, Bahamas would be sweet. I've never been there. Nice. We go to France every year, so we take a trip there, just to the beach areas down in the south, near it's nice. It's like the Bahamas. It's a way to get away and relax. And I still sort of work a little bit while I'm over there. Like people have my cell phone, they hit me up, and I try to still be available for things that arise. But it's beautiful. The weather's beautiful. The wine is awesome. The food is amazing. The people are great, so I love it.
Definitely, yeah. Because I always look through your story, man. When you post it was a plate, man. That food, I don't even know what the hell it was. It looked so good.
The
man.
food,
the food. It looked like, I don't know if it was tomato based.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, they do like a pasta with every kind of seafood under the sun you could imagine in there. Yeah. So the food is just exceptional. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like just little restaurants. You can go to any restaurant and the food's amazing. It doesn't like, even if you don't speak the language, you just sort of know that they're going to give you something good.
Yeah, it was definitely. Man, but you already know why we're here, man. The Maxwell case, Sade Robinson, you know what I'm saying? It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's completely over now. It was a crazy, high profile case in the city, everybody was talking about it, from everywhere. Where were you and what were you doing, before you took the case?
So I took it about a year before. It was about a year before we went to trials when I took it. And I got hired on that case pretty much the same way I get hired on any case. The family reached out to me, and we didn't know at the beginning. We usually don't know at the beginning of any case what all the details are going to be. You don't know what the evidence is going to look like. You don't know how good or bad it's going to be or how strong it's going to look for the state. So I got contacted by the family, and we discussed a fee, and they came in and I ended up taking it on.
Yeah. But did you hear about everything that was going on before you took the case?
Yeah, it was all over the news.
Right.
So we were able to piece two and two together pretty quickly and realize, okay, Max is the one that they are accusing of these various crimes. And then as the evidence just started coming in as we were representing him, and it just gets sort of harder and harder and harder, because this type of case in particular was one that I think, really had every law enforcement agency under the sun. I mean, they had FBI investigation, they had Milwaukee Police Department, they had the Sheriff's Department. And so you really had, when you have that quantity of law enforcement agencies involved, usually we can bank on some screw up. A lot of our cases, there's some loophole, there's some angle, they cut a corner, they didn't do something they were supposed to do. That's how we approach almost pretty much every case.
Yeah.
And this is one where, there really wasn't a corner that was cut. It was almost the opposite. For everything that could have been done with one officer, they used 5, and they really tried to shore up their investigation. And I understand why. I mean, it's just the type of case that's sort of once in a lifetime thing. I mean, it's not gonna. Thank God, right? I mean, it's not the kind of thing that we want to have happen in our community. And I don't expect to see another case like that probably in my career.
Thanks. Yeah, man. But most definitely, I know you probably seen it. A lot of people, in our community, they were upset that you even took the case. And they didn't understand. They be like, "Man, Tony is known for beating cases." You know what I mean? So I think majority. I can't speak for everybody, but I think majority of people were upset because they was like, "Man, he got Tony. He's gonna beat it."
Yeah, I think there's that assumption, and I don't beat every case. Obviously, I wish I did, but. You can't do that. That's not realistic. I mean, certain cases are going to be stronger than others.
Right.
What we're good at is we're good at exploiting the weaknesses. When something is, we will always identify in every case 100% of the time the weaknesses. We will figure out what they did wrong. We will figure out where the loopholes are. We will figure out what challenges exist. But what you can't do is you can't invent the facts. You can't make up new evidence for the client. And, and it's interesting. I mean, there's plenty of cases that come to me where a person was arrested and they confessed to the crime. I'm not beating the case where the person has told the police, these are my drugs that I was selling. And so sometimes you can figure out a way through it. But, cases like this one, where you have hundreds of officers that were involved and a mountain of evidence, realistically, you give it everything you've got because that's your job, but the odds are stacked against you.
Definitely. Yeah, but like when I found out you were taking case, I didn't feel no type of way. Like, I'm like, you represent all type of different people. Like, so you can't just, I think people like, man, we only want Tony to represent drug dealers.
Yeah.
And like, no, bro. Like, he represents everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I represent everybody. I mean, I'm not a public defender, so people are free to criticize me. You don't do big cases and avoid criticism. And so, right. I can choose not to take a case. People are right. Like, I made a decision to take that case. And I believe strongly that every person is entitled to a defense. That's what the Constitution gives the poorest person or the richest person, that right to a defense attorney. That's such an important principle, and it's something that doesn't exist in other areas of the world. It's such a uniquely American concept.
Yeah.
And I grew up believing that because, like we talked about last time, my mom and stepdad are lawyers, and so I grew up really understanding the importance of that. I saw clients coming over to my house for dinner when I was a kid, sharing my clothes with them and my food with them. And like, I get how important that is. It's almost a lifestyle, like you live it. And I don't take a case based on race. I don't take a case based on gender. I really don't even take them based on publicity. The publicity aspect was a zero part of the analysis. In fact, I would prefer my cases aren't even in the news. I'd rather do my shit behind the scenes and not have anybody even aware of it.
Right.
This was one, I made the decision to take it, and because I believe that somebody had to do it, and somebody has to try to do a good job and give this person a defense. In the jury, if you believe in the jury system, the jury's going to make a decision.
Yeah.
And they made it against my client, and whenever that happens, we accept those verdicts and we move on.
Right. Yeah, but when you finally got to sit down and actually like talk to Maxwell, meet him, like, what was his personality like, and like, what was your first thoughts on when you first met him?
I found Max to be somebody that I could talk to. I didn't have any problems ever communicating with him. That's different than a lot of people. Some people you meet and they're very standoffish. They don't want to be forthcoming with information. They don't trust you. I felt like from a relationship perspective, zero issue.
Okay.
And and the other weird thing is the number of people who reached out to me who had worked with him over the years, coworkers and bartenders who all had the same thing to say. They didn't. It wasn't like I was getting a mountain of bad phone calls of people saying, "Hey, this guy did this bad thing to me" or "this bad thing to me." It was generally positive.
Wow.
So how that broke down and how it happened, I mean, anyone's guess is as good as anyone else's, I suppose. I mean, I realized what the jury did. They returned the verdict that they returned. But I always found Max to be somebody that I could communicate and still, I still have the sentencing for him, obviously.
Yeah.
No problem working with him at all.
Right. Yeah, that's nice, man, because I know it was rumors. I it's just rumors, though, but like people were saying, like, when he was wherever he was locked up at, people were trying to fight him and start stuff with him and whatever. He got into fights and stuff.
Well, he hasn't had any conflict in custody because they've had him for over a year in solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement, okay.
Or they call it protective custody or whatever they call it. But I mean, you talk about like and again, I'm not trying to say his problems are worse than, God only knows what the victim's family's going through, obviously. Exactly. Everyone's heart goes out to them. Definitely. So I'm not comparing them at all. But, when you're in jail, being in jail in general population is one thing. Being in protective custody, solitary placement is about as, you could even say inhumane of an existence as possible. It's horrible. And that is what it is. But that's where he's been housed, so there hasn't been any threats or danger to him because I think everybody recognizes that if he were moved into general population, there could be some big problems.
Definitely. Yeah, because people got family everywhere.
The racial dynamic.
Yeah,
that's where it would be a problem. The racial dynamic, and I don't know that race played any role in the crime at all, but their race is an inescapable portion of the case, and so I think for a lot of reasons the the good jail, the people that work in the jail, there's a lot of good ones. They just realize, let's keep him in a safe spot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, I know one part of the case, angle that you took within the case that was impressive when you were saying that it was no DNA on the knives.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think there was reasonable doubt, certainly on the homicide charge. I mean, there's no DNA on the knives. There's no DNA on the car. There's no DNA. I mean, there's no DNA evidence, period. None of her DNA, blood, or anything in the house. And obviously, you can, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And the jury made their decision. But I thought there is no evidence here that he planned to commit this murder. Right. Clearly she was there. Clearly they went on a date. Clearly they spent time together. But I thought we were exploiting all of the weaknesses, and I really thought these weaknesses collectively represented reasonable doubt. And I thought if the jury was doing its job and if they were applying the law properly, I thought there was a very good chance they would return a not guilty verdict on that homicide charge. And people have trouble understanding the importance of that concept. There's this expression, it's better what did they say? 100 guilty people go free than the innocent person be convicted. It's better to let 100 guilty people go free. And people are like, that seems crazy, but that's an important concept. It is important in our system that even guilty people be given the same rights as innocent people. We give everybody the same right to present a defense. And if the prosecutor can't prove it with all their evidence, people are supposed to be found not guilty. I thought that would happen here, but I thought it would happen on the homicide.
Yeah, at least the homicide.
I didn't think I was less certain that it was going to happen on the arson and the other charge.
The disposal of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you actually found all the evidence, did you ever feel under any pressure, like, man, like, it's going to be hard to prove this?
It felt like the most difficult task I've ever had as a lawyer in 20 years of practice.
Wow.
By far the hardest case I've ever had. By far the longest trial I've ever had. The most evidence I've ever been confronted with. I mean, people think about fees and how you quote fees in a firm. And I don't want to get into, obviously, the specifics of what was paid. But it's a lot. And the reason that fees are often expensive is because we have a whole team of people who have to work on a case. But here in particular, you think about, like, with all the paralegals, all the photocopying, all the preparation, the witness folders, getting the subpoenas out. I mean, there was just thousands of hours of work that had to go into getting this thing ready for trial. And you look at a case like that compared against, your average case where they pull someone over, they find some drugs in the car, or there's fleeing, or there's a gun. That case isn't going to take me 100 hours to work through. Even if I have to make 20 court appearances for this person to try to work this out, it's not going to take me 100 hours or 50 hours. In that time, so the amount of time it takes from the firm and it consumes from the firm is a big part of the analysis, actually.
Right. Wow. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a whole lot of work. It was like, I know that discovery was crazy.
It was crazy. I mean, it was tens of thousands of pages, but it wasn't just the written reports. It's the cell phone dumps and the cell analysis and the social media and the dating websites and all just in like 95% of it. They're not going to use. Like, they just have to give you everything. And it's like every case. I know they're not going to use the bulk of what they pull in. They dump a person's phone. 99% of what's in that phone is totally irrelevant to the crime that they're prosecuting. I know they're not going to use the 99%, but there might be something in there that's helpful to me. So I got to go through the whole thing, the photos, the text messages, the emails, the location history, because sometimes you find that needle in the haystack.
Right.
Here I couldn't find one. I couldn't, other than the DNA, which I thought was significant.
Yeah.
They built a very strong circumstantial case against him.
Yeah, I know the photos was very disturbing.
Very,
that it was in the deleted messages or something.
Yeah,
like
deleted,
that.
Right.
And like, in your opinion, just from outside looking in, do you think that she was already gone, like, when he took those photos?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's what the jury thought, and that's what the prosecutor concluded. I don't know. It could very well be consistent with somebody who had drank too much and had passed out too. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see evidence of. That's the problem with photographs too. It's always in the eye of the beholder. It's like rap lyrics are a good example as well. Things get twisted and used in a way that may not be what it was. Right. And I learned a long time ago. My personal opinion matters zero. Right. If I think this guy's really rapping about something he does or not, or this person took a photograph. Is she awake or passed out or alive or dead? Like, what I think doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is what I can communicate to the jury. So I tried with those. Like, these photos are bad.
Yeah.
I try to communicate to the jury. We don't know what was happening. Nobody knows what was happening. That constitutes reasonable doubt.
Right. Yeah, man. Because I know, what was it, during the case, or was it like pretty much at the beginning where I know they said you were receiving death threats?
Yeah, happened right away.
Right away.
Yeah, right out of the gate. Started coming in, and we had police escorts and all sorts of police involvement. I didn't even reach out to law enforcement. The threats happen. They shouldn't happen for doing your job. It's a bad thing, but it's not the first time that somebody has said something nasty or threatening. What was different is, threatening one's family is different than like saying I'm a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Like, if someone wants to say something bad about me, I've got thick enough skin after 20 years of practicing law, I can handle it. My career ain't going anywhere. Think what you want, like I know that my work is good, and
Definitely.
people, not everybody's going to like me. This case pulled out a lot of the worst elements in society when you had these real nasty threats coming through. And so, my staff at the office, they don't need to hear that. And these are people who are working for me. They're trying to do good work. They don't deserve that. And it died down. It ended, and that's good. And everything was fine.
Right. Yeah, man. Because when I seen it, I was like, man, that's crazy, man. Like,
it was just one or more people trying to throw me off.
Yeah,
and,
that's what
I wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah. Like, to try to make you like say, man, I'm not even gonna take. I'm gonna turn down. I'm gonna not even do the case anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, first of all, you can't just abandon a client.
Right.
I mean, you so whoever is making the threats, whoever's out there, doesn't even understand how the system works. The idea that I'm going to walk into court and say, Judge, we've been getting threats, and now I'm no longer going to represent this person. Well, what's going to stop the next lawyer from getting those threats? I mean, that would just be a continuous thing that would happen for everybody.
Exactly.
I concluded that was going to have zero impact on the work that I do. People are going to say what they say. People are going to make the statements that they make, and I'm just going to have to do my job.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get it done. That was my mission. Get it done. Get this job done. Give him the best trial possible. And when I'm done with it, I'm done with it.
Yeah. Yeah, but what you think about like just the prosecutors, like the job they did? Like,
I thought they did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm being honest, they were good to work with, and they, I think it's the first case I've actually had a trial against with both of them.
Yeah.
Most of the DAs in Milwaukee, I deal with the drug DAs all the time, the gun DAs. The bulk of my practice is not murder cases.
Right.
I get calls on murder cases all the time, but the fees you have to charge on a murder case to invest the time into it really make it almost difficult for a lot of people to want to be able to afford it.
yeah.
So I don't work with the homicide DAs as regularly as I do the drug DAs. Ian and Megan were their names, and I found them very transparent, honest, easy to work with. Now, they were working for their side, so I have to, keep in mind that, like, they're not on my team, of course, right? So I still have to be skeptical. I still have to be suspicious of everything I read and see. But they didn't do any bullshit in the case, and that was a big part of it. There were so many ways that they could have bogged down this process and made a 2-week trial into a 4-week trial. The photographs were terrible. They introduced a fraction of the photographs. They could have gone into hundreds of photos if they had wanted to. Yeah. Hundreds of additional photos, and they didn't do that. So I give them a lot of respect. I think, or I have respect for them. I think they tried the case the way they had to. I think they did a good job. I think you had two sides that both did. I think if you ask any like honest observer, I think anybody would say both sides did everything they could to represent their position. And that's why you have jury trials, because the jury takes that evidence and they decide, what do we think? Guilty or not guilty? And then you live with the verdict, and people have the right to an appeal and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like when I seen your face when they gave the guilty verdict, it looked like, and it looked shocked, but it looked like, how the fuck did this happen? Like it was just like I don't want to say shocked.
I wasn't shocked.
Yeah. It was like not shocked, but it was like kind of stunned a little bit.
Yeah, you know what I was stunned by? I was stunned by the speed. I thought this jury, I thought for sure we would have a full day of deliberation.
Yeah.
And I was totally wrong. I mean, they went out overnight. They got the case on a Thursday. They talked about it for an hour. They went home. They came back the next day. They spent an hour or two and they reached a verdict. I thought I thought they would ask to see DNA reports and photographs and watch videos. I really thought, if you listen to what I said in opening, I said to the jury, I really want you to look at this case carefully, because the moment I heard guilt, the moment I heard they had a verdict and it was quick, I actually knew guilty.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, because it's not the kind of case you can reach a not guilty verdict in 2 hours or 3 hours. A not guilty verdict is going to require them to spend a day on this, or 2 days, or 3 days. So I thought, if this drags on 2, 3, 4 days, I'm going to get a not guilty. When I heard quick verdict, I was more stunned by how fast it was.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Yeah, so he gets sentenced August 15th.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's in August, yep. It's mandatory life for intentional homicide.
Definitely. Yeah, there's no, without parole, any of that stuff.
Yeah, you can maybe get parole after 20 years, so we'll try to make those arguments. I mean, you wonder what's going to happen when somebody goes off to prison. They're not held in protective custody, and I know it might not be popular to say it, but and people might hate me for saying it, but a life is a life, and I feel it bad for victims when there's victims in my cases, but I also feel bad for people and their families who are going through this system. You know, Definitely. It's even when somebody does something really fucking bad or really horrible, they still have loved ones, and you know, the shoe's been on the other foot a million times, where I've represented some really bad people, some real people who have committed serious crimes, other cases of murder, reckless driving causing death, drug overdoses left and right, and you know, those defendants who are charged with those crimes, those are human beings. Those are people that made a bad decision. And they may have made a really bad decision, but their family still loves them. They still got a mom and a dad. They still have children that care about them. They still have brothers and sisters. And so, again, maybe I'm unpopular, but I can't not have that mindset. That's how I'm wired. You know, I do feel bad for victims, but I don't just feel bad for victims. I also feel bad for people who have to go through a criminal justice system that is usually stacked against them.
Definitely. I know, just to switch a little bit, like, I know you heard about the cop dying. They arrested somebody for it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I don't have any interest in that case.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, like, what do you think they're going to do? Like,
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not going to come off the heels of this thing and sign that up. I'm going to, and again, everybody needs a defense, and there's good lawyers out there, and if a family reaches out to me, I'd be happy to refer them to people who I think would want something of that publicity right now. But I mean, when you spend 2 weeks in trial, and then the 2 weeks before trial zeroed in on really getting this thing totally up to speed, and then you're out of the country for 2 weeks, that's a 6 week, not absence from my clients because everybody's been in contact with me, but I got to take a breather from the intensity of the horrible stuff and get back to the people that are depending on me.
Definitely. Yeah, man. And I know you probably haven't or have been paying attention to the Diddy trial. You know, it's a lot of crazy.
Verdict yet.
Yes, no verdict yet. But they said they're trying to get a verdict by the 4th of July, before the 4th.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
You can't control it, though. Jury does what they do.
Right. But, like, I know you probably don't know the exact details of that case, but just outside looking at it, do you think he might do some time for the freak-offs?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think the problem is, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he walks on this case. He's got great lawyers. Yeah. He's got a good team. And I watched that closing. I thought the closing arguments were awesome. You know, the problem with these federal cases is, like, every crime in the federal system almost every crime has some sort of mandatory minimum sentence. Yeah. And what they do is they pile up so many charges against you that, like, in a state case, if I beat 9 out of the 10 charges at trial, my dude's probably not doing any time.
Right.
In the federal system, you got to be 10 out of 10 because if you lose on one human trafficking charge, boom, there's 10 or 15 or 20 years. And I think that what happens in a lot of these cases is the jury, when they have this many charges against a person, they do what's called a compromise verdict, where they say, okay, you know, the case is weak on 9 out of the 10 or 8 out of the 9, and then they convict on one, and they don't know what the penalties are. The jury doesn't know, hey, if we convict him on this one, we might think it's the lowest minor thing ever, and that's the one that ends up carrying 10 years mandatory for a person.
Yeah, because I forgot which. I know they dropped like 3 of the charges.
I heard that you posted that. Yeah. You posted that, and then I read that and I thought, "What's Jerry talking about?" I looked into it. I didn't think they don't think they did.
They did.
I saw your post. Yeah. And that made me look into it. When I was over enjoying my vacation, I read your Instagram post. I was like, "Really? They dropped some of Diddy stuff?" When I looked into it, I don't think they did. I think the prosecutor it was more of an issue with jury instructions or something. Okay. I think they're still going full blown on everything.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because the reports that I was seeing, they was like, oh, they dropped this.
I saw rumors about that, but
Yeah.
when I dug into like New York Times articles and stuff, I did not see that.
Wow.
So I think they're going with everything.
Okay.
And that doesn't surprise me. Like, I've never had a prosecutor ever say to themselves, you know what? We just got through this whole trial. We don't think we can prove these. They would just let the jury find him not guilty. They wouldn't say to the judge, we are dismissing. If the judge is going to throw it out, well, fine, that's one thing. But I could never see them putting egg on their face and throwing out 3 charges right before it goes to a jury.
Right.
Can you imagine what a defense attorney would do? I'd be like, they just threw out 3 charges before it went to you?
Right, I'm like, this done. We done.
If they did that, like, that would be like throwing in the towel.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The last question about Maxwell. Do you think it would have hurt him if he would have took the stand, like, as a witness?
It couldn't have gotten worse because,
Right.
I mean, he got convicted. So when I look back on it, that's what I told the family, and I told my client, I tell everybody, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
But I still think the decision was the right decision. He made it. It's his decision. We talked about it a ton of times. And, you know, there's a lot of risk to a person taking the stand. A person takes the stand and they're going to be cross-examined by very experienced prosecutors. And again, it wouldn't have, I mean, it couldn't, yeah, he's found guilty, so it's not like it could have gotten a worse guilty verdict. Right. And I just don't think, I don't think it would have gone well. I really don't. I still think, knowing what I know about Max and the case and what I think would have been testified to, there's no way that could have happened. Wow. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, man. Like I told you off camera, man. Like you are Johnny Cocker, man. Like,
I think you said that last time. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's,
like you are Johnny Cocker.
I don't know if there's some big shoes to fill. He was an amazing man.
Definitely, man. Yeah, man. But last but not least, man, you know, like, everybody want to know about Chicken. You know, like, he just got arrested.
Last week.
Last week.
He got arrested like late June.
Yeah. And everybody's worried about him, man. And they worried because they know the sentencing is coming up, and they want to know, like, what's going on. But the reports say he dropped dirty for Justice Point and stuff like that. But
there's a couple.
There
are a couple important things that I think matter here. Dropping dirty is something that can happen to people when they're on bond for extended amounts of time, and it's like being on bond can be a double-edged sword. You want cases sometimes you want cases to drag on.
Yeah.
Not every time. There's a number of times where you really want to try to wrap it up because of certain reasons.
Yeah.
Ones where it drags on, the risk of that is that any slip up can happen. You know, a person isn't thinking straight, and we're all human. We all can just make that like impulsive bad decision. Definitely. And so that is what happened. And he was honest about it. I mean, that's the thing about Rakib or Chicken, is that, you know, he's the only only client I have who called me on my birthday. That's the kind of guy he is. Wow. He called me on my fucking birthday. I don't know no other client. He was, I think, in a tour in New York and from a show, and he took time out of his day to call me just to check in, ask how I'm doing, ask what I had planned. I mean, because that's like the kind of person he is. He's a good guy. Definitely. And unfortunately, the dropping dirty got him taken into custody, but it doesn't mean he's going to sit in jail. He just has to sit in jail until sentencing. And we can hopefully get him probation. We're still on all hands on deck to try to make that happen. Definitely, man. Get him out and get him back to the community and get him back performing. I mean, he's got a huge contract in front of him and a lot of opportunity. Definitely, man. We definitely need him out here, man. Yeah, he's the real deal. Definitely. You already know what the fuck it is, man. DJ Jerry, a.k.a. the voice of the streets. It's the motherfucking Mixtape Choppers Radio, man. Tony Cotton. What's happening? Thanks again for the interview. Pleasure being here for the second time. Maybe we'll have a third. We're going to have a third. Third time the charm, man. Third time's the charm. I'll do good the third time. Yeah. All right, Jerry. Thanks. Yep.